Before we turn out the lights to start this film, please put your viewing glasses on. If you already wear glasses, put the viewing glasses on over them. You will be given an opportunity later to see how the pictures look without your viewing glasses. The first picture you will see will be in ordinary, flat, 2 dimensions. Watch closely as this same scene changes to the real-life depth of stereoscopic 3 dimensions. To get the desired effect, please put your viewing glasses on now. Thank you.
Barber-Greene presents Highway USA. Through the 2 eyes of the most modern 3-dimension color camera, we present to you the men who built it. Highway USA, the largest man-made structure in the world. With this new kind of document, Barber-Greene salutes the road builders of America, the engineers, the laborers, the contractors, the machine operators, all of you whose knowledge, skill, and ingenuity were combined to produce the greatest single transportation medium in all history. Highway USA is that network of roads and streets which connects every inhabited part of these United States. In building it, you have expanded the radius of action of all Americans, letting us reach in minutes places that would otherwise take hours, and bringing within a few hours places that would otherwise take days. This highway, the result of your thought and toil, is the greatest, the most flexible transportation system ever built. It runs by your house and mine. It crosshatches your town and mine as it spreads over this vast country of ours. It includes more good roads than all the rest of the world combined. Even though you collectively built it, none of you has ever seen it all, or ever will. Totaling over 3 million miles of roads and streets, it would take you a quarter of a century to drive over it at 40 miles an hour, driving 8 hours every day. Possibly your part in building Highway USA seemed dull and prosaic. Possibly your personal part even seemed unimportant. But we believe you'll have a new pride in your contribution to this great achievement when you see more of Highway USA in real-life 3 dimensions. For whether your part was large or small, whether you designed a traffic-packed cloverleaf or helped pave a deserted strip in the wilderness, it's one glorious achievement in which all parts are essential. We of Barber-Greene hope you'll see many aspects of Highway USA which are easily lost from view when you're absorbed in grades and mixes, crowns, and the other endless details of getting the job done. We hope you'll appreciate the true importance, even the romance connected with this great structure. Romance in road building? Well, call it what you will. There certainly is more than so much aggregate and binder in your highway as it streaks through the grand Tetons which rise as if to defy the road builder. Surely there's more than just a pavement where your highway swings by Artist's Point in Yellowstone, one of the most breathtaking scenes in the world. The same scenery that delights the motorist presents the most perplexing problems to the engineer and contractor. Such conditions require intimate knowledge of the local terrain, in addition to extensive know-how and experience in road construction. All of you must experience a deep sense of accomplishment as you see the thousands of cars take their beeline course along your famous Arroyo Seco. And can you look down on this part of your highway, which is almost lost from view as it winds through the floor of glacier-cut Yosemite Valley, without feeling a new sense of pride in the part you have played? Highway U.S.A. is given many other names and numbers as it covers our country. Here it takes on a fascinating glamour, and they call it Broadway. Here it becomes one of the familiar skylines of the world, and they call it Michigan Boulevard. And in perhaps thousands of places, they call it just plain Main Street. The earliest roads in America were Indian trails, or Indian traces as they were commonly called. The Aborigines had a remarkable ability for finding the shortest and easiest path. Much of Highway USA is laid exactly over these original Indian traces. Many parts of our present highway actually cover or parallel the trade routes of our early pioneers. The deep ruts which are faintly visible in the green field at the left were made by ox-drawn covered wagons as they rolled slowly along the old Santa Fe Trail during most of the last century. Our first surfaced highway was a broken stone pavement laid in 1792, but the construction of many of these early roads was more a matter of felling trees and grubbing stumps than of providing an all-weather surface. To prevent the wagons from sinking in, some of these early routes were surfaced by laying logs side by side across the road. These were then covered by 2 or 3 inches of earth and became the corduroy road. Bridges were seldom a part of this primitive system, and the trail frequently led to the shallowest part of the stream, so it could be forded by the wagons and stages with the least amount of difficulty. Timber structures soon began spanning the streams and were commonly covered to protect the timbers. The number of the old covered bridges remaining in use today testify to their sound construction, and to some of us, they bring back memories. The introduction of the horseless carriage brought about a new era in road construction. Grades had to be leveled, curves improved, all-weather surfaces provided, mileages multiplied. Tools of highway construction were crude. The developing needs of the highway were answered by a new industry, which set itself to designing and manufacturing machines for material handling, earth moving, paving, and highway maintenance. Now one of our major industries, it's helping to change the social habits and to raise the economic standards of America. And of the entire world. It's natural that we of Barber-Greene are proud of our part. The Barber-Greene finisher established new standards for speed and quality in laying bituminous surfaces. This ingenious machine compacts the material to a uniform density and automatically levels. The Barber-Greene travel plant replaces the crude rule-of-thumb methods which were used in mixed-in-place operations. The travel plant continuously and accurately measures the aggregate and asphalt, thoroughly mixes the materials, and discharges the mix into a windrow at the rear. One of Barber-Greene's most valuable contributions to road building has been the development of bituminous mixing plants, which are made up of portable units that give high-quality, low-cost asphalt construction to even the most isolated areas. Behind the scenes of road building are the machines necessary for producing and handling the huge quantities of sand, gravel, and other aggregates. Barber-Greene has always pioneered the path of portability and flexibility in all its machines. And the BG principle of constant flow or continuous handling has made for higher quality and lower costs in many fields. Barber-Greene's line of equipment, which is extensively used in road construction, material handling, and ditching, is the result of our working closely with you, the road builders, in order to find the need, and then developing an answer through our specialized knowledge in these fields. We will always depend upon this close association for our future developments. But even with the most modern road-building equipment, there are places where it's miraculous that you could build any kind of a road. In some spots, you have been forced to such sharp curves and steep grades that they're a little too much for even our present cars. Automobiles and highways have paced each other. New highways demanding better cars, then new cars demanding better highways. At only 7,000 feet, we find these cars stopping to cool off, 9 with their hoods raised. Here, at least, either the roads don't fit the cars, or our cars don't fit the road. For over 150 years, Highway USA has been expanded, improved, and paved until now it would be possible to roller skate from Boston to San Diego or from Seattle to Miami. Is this young lady taking us seriously on that roller skating across the country? No, she's just one of the many hitchhikers who helped to make up the great American scene. Breathes there the man with soul so dead, who never to himself hath said, "This is my own, my native land," whose heart hath ne'er within him burned as home his footsteps he hath turned from wandering on a foreign strand. The next picture will be on in a few moments, and we'll leave it on long enough for you to view it both with and without your viewing glasses. In spite of our wide-open spaces, you have provided us with twice as many miles of highway per square mile as there are in Europe. You have built the surface over which 37 million motor vehicles travel. That's 3/4 of all the motor vehicles in the world. There are enough cars here for all 143 million Americans to ride at once. And we sometimes think they do. Think of that. In America, there's a car for every 5 people. As a timely comparison, let us point out that in Russia, there is 1 car for every 1,200 people. As with every previous civilization in history, the extent and quality of our roads are a key to our economic and cultural development. There is no way of measuring or appreciating the full import of this modern means of transportation. But many significant improvements in our culture and business let us begin to grasp its great importance. 90% of all travel in the United States is by automobile. Your good roads have made centralized schools feasible in rural areas. Here in New Hampshire, we see one of the 90,000 school buses, which transport 5 million youngsters daily to these centers. Millions of Americans now have medical care, fire protection, police supervision, which were impossible before Highway USA was constructed. Hundreds of our cities depend exclusively on buses for mass transportation, and thousands of our communities have only the family car. And as we stand in the midst of these amber waves of grain, we're reminded that millions of acres of fertile land were economically unusable before you laid Highway USA through our rural areas, making the market accessible to the farmer. Please don't pick the wheat. Near Niagara, Highway USA is known as Rainbow Bridge, as it reaches a friendly hand across one of the few remaining unguarded borders in the world. Here your highway curves through the gateway of the Garden of the Gods, which frames this impressive view of Pikes Peak. As we reach this town, we find an irrigation ditch parallels the highway, not only converting desert land into fertile fields, but giving a pleasant diversion to the local citizen. The motorist is usually too busy reaching his destination or admiring the scenery to fully appreciate the skill and ingenuity which you've shown in so many places by laying Highway USA right through a mountain. Everyone looks across this valley with awe, but you should look with pride as you see how your highway clings to the edge of a solid wall of granite and bores through 2 tunnels in a spectacular road builder's achievement. The modern trend in high-traffic areas is beeline transportation, which is typically exemplified here, where you take us through 3 separate tunnels in rapid succession. Although of little importance as a traffic expediter, this is probably the best-known tunnel in the world. This is the famous Wawona tree in California. There seems to be a universal desire to be photographed at this famous spot on your highway, and the photographer is kept busy. We could make a whole film on the interesting and spectacular subject of switchbacks, all of which require careful planning and skillful, hard work. The solution is obvious after the road is laid, but we're always reminded of the sight beheld by the engineer as he first looked upon these apparently insurmountable obstacles and then set to work to plan a series of hairpin turns that would let the motorist quickly climb the mountain. This exotic temple in Illinois is one of the innumerable churches reached by our highway. We find these structures representing all types of architecture in all kinds of settings. They all have an atmosphere that presents a pleasing picture. But few have the charm of the Church of the Transfiguration, which nestles beneath these rugged peaks in Wyoming. Possibly the most spectacular evidence of your ingenuity, and sometimes the most beautiful portions of Highway U.S.A. itself, are found in your graceful bridges, which take us across bays, rivers, and canyons. Here you shaped your highway into the longest single span in the world as it crosses the Golden Gate, and the fog rolls in to cover most of the far tower. Sir Francis Drake came sailing right by this beautiful harbor, but failed to discover it because of the fog. As a result, the Golden Gate was not known to white men until 200 years later. This bridge may break no records, but it was obviously irresistible to our three-dimensional photographer, who takes delight in finding outstanding stereo subjects. Not all our bridges are engineering achievements, but engineer or not, you should enjoy seeing this one, or at least the mountain stream, or at least the attractive natives. And don't worry about this short span. Its load limits are plainly marked, so just relax and enjoy the scenery. We didn't forget the engineers entirely. Here is one for your benefit. With 6 lanes on the top deck and trains, buses, and trucks on the lower deck, the Oakland Bay Bridge is one of the outstanding engineering achievements in the world. We seem to be unable to resist the beauty of these places where your highway crosses a mountain stream. Here you can drive right to one of our finest fishing spots. And if we take our fishing seriously, your highway lets us park right at the dock in Gloucester, Massachusetts, where the fish are on a bigger scale, and vice versa. It may not take much engineering, but plenty of perseverance to pave our many miles of desert road. And as our hitchhiking friend is finding out, the traffic count is very low. This hot desert makes us think of cool shade, which Highway U.S.A. can provide if you know where to go. In Mariposa Grove, we not only find the shade, but its giant sequoias give us a new concept of time. These 2 trees were not only here before your highway was started, they were growing before the Appian Way was started in ancient Rome. In the center background is the grizzly giant, the oldest living thing in the world. It has scarcely grown at all since Columbus, and was almost 2,000 years old at the beginning of the Christian era. Frequently exceeding the height of a 20-story building, it is said that one of these giants falls about every 7 years. The car in the right background gives an interesting size comparison. High on the list of tree scenery is the Kaibab Forest in Arizona, a generous part of which is thick with quaking aspen. If you can find the car in the distance, you'll see that your highway runs right through the forest. And this is where the forest ends. Note that trees grow on the left side of the highway, but not on the right. This is where the road crosses the timber line in Colorado. At this latitude, the timber line is at 11,000 feet. The 3,800-year-old grizzly giant seems relatively young as we drive through the heart of the petrified forest, where we find the remains of huge trees that grew not thousands, but millions of years ago. The next picture will be on in a few moments. This time, if you will leave your viewing glasses on, we'll demonstrate an interesting aspect of the stereoscopic projection. With Grandmother's stereoscope, we looked at two separated pictures and automatically saw the correct picture with the correct eye. As you have seen here, we project the two pictures on top of each other and must have some means of sorting them for your eyes. The two images are therefore polarized oppositely, as are the lenses of your viewing glasses. When we turn off the right image, you see only with your left eye. When we turn off the left image, you see only with your right eye. We must also use a special screen which will not depolarize the light. Among other things, you, the road builder, have provided the millions of amateur photographers with a happy hunting ground, offering them countless photogenic views right from the road or within a few feet of their cars. By now, you've probably noticed the two storms in the distance. There are probably enough shutterbugs in the audience for you to be interested in some of the photographic aspects of this film. These views were all taken on 5x7 professional Kodachrome, and we got one stereo pair on each sheet. Most of you will be surprised at the length of many of these exposures. Hardly any were taken faster than a half second. And this one required a 10-second exposure. The necessity for something near in the foreground in every three-dimension view requires a small diaphragm opening and consequent long exposure. Contrary to common belief, stereo pairs are not identical. View this one first with your right eye, then with your left. And you'll see that the two pictures are taken from two different points of view, which is the fundamental principle of three-dimensional photography. As we view some portions of Highway U.S.A. from the air, some of you may feel a little eye exercise. If it's uncomfortable, you can take your viewing glasses off during the air views. As you see, the objects appear in miniature. In ordinary stereo photography, the two lenses of the camera are eye distance apart. But in air views, the two pictures are made several hundred feet apart. In viewing them, you optically become a giant whose eyes are separated by several hundred feet. Miami, Florida is easily recognized by the palms and the beach, even though it appears to be small. Cars that are moving may seem to be raised off the pavement in air views. This is because the cars moved between the taking of the two pictures and do not occupy their correct relative positions on the screen. It's all in the way you look at it. To the photographer, this is a perfect exposure. To the motorist, it's beautiful scenery. To the geologist, each stratum of stone is 1,000,000 years. And to the road builder, this was a tough job, well done. To you, this is Sunset Point in Bryce Canyon, Utah. To the Indians, it was Uncotempe-Wawinsa-Pokich, which according to our export department means red rocks standing like men in a bowl-shaped canyon. Here, a unique type of erosion has created the most colorful formations in the Earth's crust. These spires rarely topple over, but are gradually being worn down by wind and rain. There are many oddities along Highway U.S.A. In fact, here's one Ripley missed. Here is a bituminous road 40 feet wide with a concrete base 710 feet thick. The 3 million yards of concrete in Hoover Dam would build a 2-lane pavement diagonally across the country. But Ripley didn't miss this one. He calls this the most crooked road in the world. Here, 7 miles of road enclosed within an area of 1.5 square miles climbs Cheyenne Mountain. While these curves look and may be dangerous, studies show that a series of sharp curves is not as hazardous as a milder curve suddenly introduced into a long stretch of straight road. Telling you that our annual traffic toll is 33,000 deaths and 1.25 million injuries is merely repeating statistics you already know. So let us put it another way. This film is 30 minutes long. It will be shown many times. During every showing of this film, 2 people will be killed in a motor vehicle accident in the United States. And every other time you see a new picture on this screen, another person will be injured. While this is a very real and appalling fact, the toll would be even higher if it were not for the engineering, traffic marking, grade separations, and other safety measures which you have built into your highway. All of us who have any connection with road building are deeply conscious of our responsibility in traffic safety. As we all know, no degree of engineering can save the reckless driver or those unfortunate enough to meet him on the road. You who deal in highway planning and engineering fully comprehend the double-edged slogan, safety is no accident. The public fails to appreciate the care and precision with which safety is engineered into modern roads. They realize that you have your slide rules and engineering tables, but are ignorant of the fact that you have the results of elaborate safety studies which show with great accuracy the number of accidents to be expected for a given type of highway carrying a given number of vehicles per hour. They fail to realize that you have these broken down for 2-lane and multi-lane pavements, for tangent and separated roadways, for curves of various degrees and curves occurring at various frequencies. In all the maze of safety figures available, one significant point stands out. In spite of the fact that there is much less nighttime driving, night accidents account for more than half of the traffic deaths. Our highways must be designed with the emphasis on night safety driving. It is not the lack of engineering skill or statistical knowledge which keeps our traffic toll from being reduced further. It will be a long, painful, and costly process, but eventually the public will realize that safe highways will pay for themselves many times in lives and minutes saved. But completely ignoring the lives lost, expenditures for more and better highways are easily justified strictly on the basis of economy. Here are some important figures boiled down to very round numbers. Traffic accidents cost us $2 billion a year, but we spend only $1 billion a year for highway construction and safety improvement. That's as simple as it is significant. Again, we have to say the biggest in the world. Only superlatives fit the Grand Canyon. Here's our ubiquitous friend again, but where's the highway? Either she's lost, or she figures you fellows will be right on the job. Seeing your highway, America's magic carpet, successfully negotiate our rugged Pacific coast reminds us again of how it takes us on a glorious trip from sea to shining sea. Through San Fernando Valley, with its purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. Before stately El Capitan. between the brilliant walls of Zion Canyon. Around the base of Angel's Landing. Beneath incomparable Mount Rushmore. Across the weird formations of the Badlands. And on to our nation's capital, and to the marker from which all of Highway USA is measured. While only you, the road builders, can fully appreciate the thought and toil which Highway USA represents, it is a source of inspiration to all America. For as long as you can overcome such obstacles as we have seen, we can all continue our faith in American skill and ingenuity.
May we have your attention, please? Your attention, please. The ushers will collect the viewing glasses as you leave. To avoid delay, please have them ready. Others are waiting to use them for the next show. Thank you.